welcome to Generación Latina. Your host here, Carolina Peña. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I am very excited to introduce to you Josue Barrera. He is a Latino on the move. He's on I would say, a fast track to really just represent so many Latinos in a way that that is exciting. He's in an interesting position to speak from a wealth of experience, and I am very just inspired by his story, by everything he's accomplished. So please stay tuned for the next 30 minutes. We're going to do some key, learning and motivation here with Josue. Josue, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, tell me a little bit about you. You're obviously, a Latino raised here in the United States, and you find yourself here in the nation's capital doing some great work. But you come from kind of, a wealth of experience, of kind of an umph, right, for what opportunities there might be, and through internships, through work experience. So I want to learn kind of like the full picture of where you come from and what has you here.
Well, thank you again, and for calling me Latino on the move. It's a privilege and an honor. I think it's pretty exciting to be called that. I just see myself as somebody who's working hard and hope to do good things for my community and for my future and my family, and create a sense of pride for all of us. Where I come from, where I'm going, I guess they're very much related. I was born in Flint, Michigan, which is probably not the most ideal place that people recognize as a place of a lot of Latinos, but that's where we were born. My father was working for General Motors, and we moved us south to Texas as a young child, and that's what I know and call home. Brownsville, Texas is home. It's a place that the culture is much like you would get in Mexico. It's on the border. That's what we know. I call myself Tejano when people ask. So they say, where are you from? And I say Tejano, and they say, what part of Mexico is that from? That's not exactly the case. We have a very unique culture that is a little bit mixed. It's country goes Mexico. It's what I call my roots. Yeah.
Okay, and then did you grow up speaking English or Spanish or both?
Well, our grandparents, I'm the youngest of five, our grandparents spoke Spanish primarily, and they spoke that with my parents. So my parents do have a greater comprehension. I will say I speak Spanglish. It's not perfect, it's not dominant. Our culture is very much operating in Spanglish. My life at home is operating in Spanglish. It's in the work where I have to perfect this English so to operate in a professional work environment. But we were definitely raised in an environment where you have a little bit of both. But I can say I operate more in English.
Oh, now. Yeah, I agree. I think that's the story for so many of us. I operate, completely in Spanglish at home, and yet I find that I have to be, really good at English, and then sometimes really good at Spanish, right? So it's kind of like finding that middle ground.
I'm still working on the really good at Spanish part. Yeah. I'm not there yet, but hopefully someday.
It's getting hard, right?
Definitely.
So were you tell me kind of like, are you a typical student growing up? What did you think you would, pursue? What kind of career? What did you see yourself kind of doing in the future?
I thought I was going to be a rock star. I really, honestly, truly did. A rock star. My hair has been 17 different colors at least. Funny hairstyles, funny clothes.
Wow.
But I had people who supported me all along the way with whatever my dreams and ambitions were. And I think that has kind of encouraged me to be a little bit more confident in whatever I'm pursuing. I actually started, my first go-round at college was on a music scholarship, not just crazy random screaming like when I say rock star.
Okay, so there's
some credibility to it. Yeah. I can go and play a piano and sound decent, hopefully.
Okay.
And still sing a little bit every now and then on the side. You might catch me doing karaoke somewhere, because I can, and I enjoy it. But that's what I thought I was going to do. And so everything I was doing in junior high and in high school was fostered toward a potential music career. I was in theater, I was in choir, that's what I was doing, that's what I was really enjoying, was passionate about. But after my first 2 years of college, I realized that probably wasn't going to be the most career-oriented for me as an individual or fulfilling. So I went on a break quickly afterward and spent a few years out of school. So I'm not a traditional student.
Oh, wow. So tell me about that. Why did you take a break, or how did you feel? Did you feel like
I would not recommend it for anybody, first of all.
Okay,
Because yes, it was definitely a challenge. I just recognized that maybe that wasn't what I was going to find to be the most fulfilling career track for me, or what career I would pursue. It was definitely going to be difficult. It was going to be something that if I wanted to do and could do at any point, and even now, this day, when I have my own professional career, I can do it for my personal benefit and enjoy it and make it something that I enjoy as an individual, not necessarily as a career. So I kind of came to recognize that it's something that makes me happy, but maybe not my career goal. So yeah, I did go. I did take a break from school, about 3 years, and I was working in the school, teaching piano, playing on the weekends randomly at gigs and in churches.
You're a music bum.
I was. I did have regular, a church gig that I would play in the weekends, and so there was some financial stability to it. But yeah, it's basically I was a music bum, and I enjoyed every minute of it. But yeah, it was not the most career enhancing. Is probably the way I would put it. It was not thinking long term.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when here you are. I mean, you're in DC. You're with your life kind of all set up. I mean, you've got a great job. You work for the State Department. You're doing something fulfilling. You've also won awards, right? And you've been recognized from HACU, right?
Correct.
The Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities.
Correct.
So, kind of like, what was that that transition point?
Well, the motivation and passion is always there for whatever I do. Whatever I set my hands to do, there's motivation, there's passion, there's excitement, and that's what I want to be as a person. At one point, I just committed myself to go back and finish. It took me about 3 years to get to that point, but I said, you know what? I recognize that to pursue bigger things, greater things, I have to finish my education. So I literally packed up my bags one weekend and moved to Houston. Now, fortunately, I had a sister in Houston. And so she supported me. She helped me out quite a bit getting up there, getting enrolled in school. But literally from 1 week to the next, I was enrolled in school and on a different path.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you have an idea what you wanted to pursue?
I did. Because of the background in entertainment and things like that, I pursued mass media. It sounded exciting to me, but I double majored in mass media and religious studies, and so I thought they were both good. It was a good balance of once again that personal issue and then my interest and curiosity for things going on across the world, social interaction.
Okay, and then so you're back in school, feel like you're kind of getting yourself, kind of somewhere, and then. At what point, what opportunities did you pursue that then brought you here to Washington?
Well, like you said, I said a few seconds ago, I kind of started full steam ahead. I didn't stop after undergrad. I pursued a master's degree in public policy.
Oh, wow.
I liked where that was going. As I was in undergrad, I liked being a part of the media, but when you're studying media, at least my realization was, what's the media always talking about is government. So I said, I want to be on the other side of the story instead of the person who's doing interviewing.
Reporting it, you want to be making the news.
I said, I want to be on that side of the story. So I pursued a degree in public policy management.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. What was, in all of this that you've told us about so far, what was the most challenging part for you? The thing that probably made you feel like you couldn't get to where you wanted to get to?
That's a little bit of my responsibility, and I recognize that now, but resources. Whether it be from my background, we were not the most affluent family. We didn't have a whole lot of resources. But there are a lot of resources that are out there for students, and I didn't recognize that they were there and didn't take advantage of them. And that's something that was a hindrance as I was getting back into school. And I recognized that. And maybe I wouldn't have been in that position had I continued. But yeah, that was something that, if I would have done it differently, maybe I wouldn't be paying for the next few years through loans or other ways. But resources were always a challenge.
And I think it's not just true back then, but here, today, I think so many students find themselves feeling like their biggest obstacle to a higher education is financial, is a lack of access to resources, and they may not be able to even say that, right? But hey, it's, oh, well, my parents don't have enough money, or my parents have just enough money not to qualify for financial aid. So, so what were some of the things, some of the resources that helped you? I know you obviously were involved and got into Haku, so I'm curious to hear about that.
Well, that was one that was able to take my education, what I was doing at the time in graduate school, and turn it into a paid internship. Cool. And so I was able to take that graduate level experience in education and get paid when I came to DC. I was in Texas at the time. I applied for a position with them, and they placed me in a federal agency, and I got paid for it. So that was a whole semester of education, not only where I was learning and participating in government, but getting paid for it. And that was my introduction to DC.
Fascinating. I mean, how many students, really get to do that? And normally you've really got to work. It's so competitive. Finding a spot here in DC and the great internships that there are, but
it is competitive. But this is something that I really think the students need to, the students who want to pursue it, the students who are interested in doing something that's beyond what they can imagine, they just have to have the ánimo, como dice. They have to have the will, the wherewithal to go after and pursue it. It's because it's much easier to stay at home and watch TV and play video games or whatever it is that you're interested in doing. But to have that determination to say, I can do this, that individual can go after it if they just facilitate, and they sit down at a computer and do a little bit of research and recognize there are programs like the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities. I can say that again, Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities.
That's right. No, you're right. I think you're getting at something really important, which is to have the winner mentality. You may not be there. You may not have you may not meet all the requirements. You may not have even the GPA that qualifies you. But to have that mentality that says, you know what, I want something better for myself. I want something better for my family. My parents came here for this reason. My grandparents worked their butt off to, provide for our family, for me to have and go to college. So what will it take? And I think sometimes we have to hope and think outside the box a little bit. Yeah, that this requirement might say, okay, well, you need to have a 3.8, but even if you have a 3.7 or a 3.75, you never know. You never know if you fit what they're looking for, right?
Definitely. Let me tell you a quick story about my first internship with the department. I think it's going to be the Department of State, that is. Pretty good indicator of what I was getting myself into. Yeah. And it could have been a turning point, a place where I recognized either I was playing in a field way too big for me, or that I belong. I was selected to participate in an internship following my Haku internship with the Department of State. Okay. I had some experience in undergraduate, in my undergraduate degree that gave me some background and qualifications they were looking for to fulfill their internship. And so they hired me. I was really excited. I was, not sure what I was getting myself into. I had no idea really what the Department of State was on a real scale. So they placed me in an office called the Rapid Response Unit. Sounded neat. What they were doing was identifying the day's news at whatever has already happened around the world and writing briefs. And those briefs go up to our leadership. And so they put me on the Spanish desk, me and my somewhat qualified Spanish. And that was one section, but this same office had people who spoke 3 or 4 languages each, in addition to English. Wow. And so here I am, me with my English and, once again, moderate Spanish, and I could have easily felt belittled by that. Right. And these people were amazing, brilliant academic careers, once again spoke multiple languages, and had the capacity to write some amazing, what we call briefs, synopsis, if you will, in a matter of time, where I had to work at it. Yeah. And that was my welcome and my introduction. This is a fast-paced, hardcore working world. It was very much like thrown to the wolves, if you will. Yeah. And I could have easily turned away and said, "This is too much for me," but the opportunity, excitement, the potential was what kept me going. And 5.5 years later, and I'm still there.
Hey, so. Congratulations. That hard work, right? It pays off. Definitely. And it's not about what others are doing. It's about measuring up yourself against your better, what you know you can do.
Correct.
So.
Correct. I definitely had to think about potential. It wasn't so much about this is what I am. And I'll admit there was some catch up. I had to play a little bit of catch up to at least feel like I was on the same playing field.
Yep. We're going to hear more about these stories, but thank you so much for sharing so far, and please stay with us. We're going to continue to share some resources and really just more of Josue's story, which I think could inspire many of you. So we'll be right back.
7,000 estudiantes de secundaria abandonan la escuela todos los días. Esto forma una línea de más de 4 millas de largo. Podemos mantener a los estudiantes en la escuela. Visita busstop.org y toma el primer paso.
And we're back here on Generación Latina. We're continuing this conversation with Josue Barrera, a Latino on the move here in the Washington metropolitan area, and I think an inspiration to many of you. If you are considering a degree, a major in public policy, in global affairs, international relations, I know these are popular majors. I was interested in that at some point, so I think it'd be great for you all to continue to learn what Josue does every day and just how to access some of the opportunities that he has had access to. So, Josue, continue to tell us, really just give us a picture of what it's like to be in your shoes for one day.
Sure, glad to. It's not necessarily the most exciting, but it can be fun work, and it's an opportunity to meet with a lot of people.
Plus,
and that's probably
had the opportunity to travel. I mean,
I have.
I'll envy that for sure.
I have. Work has sent me to places like Rome and Cartagena and even parts of Mexico that I would never been on my own. So,
wow.
Some pretty exciting places. We are, the U.S. Department of State is the foreign policy branch of the government. Mm-hmm. So we work with other nations' governments in foster that relationship. So that's what we do. That's what we're interested in. My particular work is finding Latinos like yourself, like those that are like in our audience who want to be a part of what we do. And that can be a challenge. There are pockets of people all over the country that are curious about what we do, but not necessarily that many that are going to take that step to follow, to pursue the education that it's needed, or to, one, be interested in something like traveling abroad and representing the country. Mm-hmm. I think those are two of the big things, is willingness to go see and do new things, and represent the country. This is an opportunity, one that I don't take very lightly. I'm very proud of the fact that when I can travel with work, I'm traveling as a representative of the U.S. government. So that's part of what I do, is finding people who want to do this. And that can mean things like speaking to student groups at the college level, at the high school level, speaking with a lot of professional organizations and community organizations, trying to find people who want to experience something new and different and represent the U.S. government while doing it.
And obviously the U.S. government wants to find some of the best people that can do that.
Yes.
So
there's a cultural affinity to this position. It's, as I mentioned, I do specifically work with the Hispanic community. And as Latinos, as Hispanos, it's inherent, it's in us to know what it is like to be in another culture, in another community. And that's something that we can recognize and use to our advantage when doing something like this career, this job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What do you love most about your job?
Relationships. There have been so many people that I have met through this job, so many places I've been, but the relationships are amazing. I can call deans at graduate schools my friends. I can call ambassadors my friends. And people that I can call if I need to, or I'm curious, or just want to talk for mentorship or opportunities in other places. Those relationships that I've built with people across the country, and actually even across the world now, with some of my friends who are serving in other countries on behalf of the government at embassies. Mm-hmm. That's probably my favorite thing about this job.
That's awesome. Not too many people can say that, but I wanna make sure that we capture this reality that you're doing something you love. You get to work with the Latino community. You're using your bilingual skills, but it took hard work to get there, right?
Definitely.
I mean, you went to grad school, and even though you took 3 years off of college, not knowing what you were going to do, here you are, right? I mean, this is possible, and you've you've got organizations like, Haku, who are able to place, students in paid internships in the federal government.
Correct. There are other organizations aside from Haku.
Of course.
This is just one that I happen to be familiar with as an alumni. But they are definitely opportunities for students to pursue. The open doors that can come from participating in a program like this are just immense. So definitely take advantage of them when you get the opportunity.
Absolutely, and many of you will find many of those opportunities on our blog, so do not hesitate to visit and visit frequently. We are constantly posting, especially on our Facebook page, we're constantly posting opportunities that you can take advantage of, that you can, maybe tell others that, there's some things that are specific to certain majors or certain interests. So go for it. I think that's part of really our job, is to stay abreast of what's going on, know what's out there.
Correct. There's also a great benefit to living in this region, and that the proximity to the government organizations and nonprofits, all the plethora of opportunities that there are for students who live around this area. They are in a prime spot to participate in government, in international outreach or opportunities. This is a great spot to be for education. So something that, once again, high school and college students should not take lightly.
Oh, yeah.
With the Department of State, we have some programs. We have student programs starting in high school and college as well. And students can go on to careers.state.gov and click under student programs and see what they are and if they qualify. And if they do, don't hesitate. If you think you have a shot, or even if you're not even sure what it is, read through it. If you like how it sounds, put your name in the hat. If your name's not in the hat, it'll never be selected. So
that's true. That is true. I agree. Tell me, what would you tell parents to do? I mean, parents have a hard time guiding sometimes their son or daughter, and often because they don't know what's out there, and so all they can do is say, well, go find out. But I know there's more. They can provide more guidance, so what would you recommend?
I do definitely agree. And it's what I would say is definitely more of a caution to the parents to not let their fear affect their children's. Because we, as I was going to say young people, maybe I'm not so young anymore, but young people have an ability to overcome fear, I would say, probably a little bit easier, and now as I'm aging, I probably can understand that. But allow them to take the risks and learn from those risks. I think parents, the responsibility they do have a lot of responsibility. Their fear can overcome and not allow the student to maybe spread their wings or quench their dreams. So I would just really encourage the parents to, as crazy and as outrageous as their child's dreams might sound, to find a way within them to support them as best as they possibly can.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, you're right. It's a balance of, caution, but also, pushing them towards the things that they want to explore and not impose, your own goals.
Correct. That is the other side of the coin, is either limiting or deriving in a direction that maybe the student or the individual might not necessarily be interested in. Exactly.
So I think just, being able to, as a parent, identify the things that your child is good at, the things that they're interested in, and just fueling that, because, hey, I'm sure you were fueled in all your, music talents and everything. It wasn't ultimately what your career became about, but you make room for that.
It wasn't, but there was so many skill sets that I learned while out and singing and performing and leading youth groups that I use today. They are skill sets that were developed in me when I didn't even realize I would be using them. And at that time I did have, and I will be ever grateful for my parents' support during that different time of my life.
Yeah. Let me look at, just kind of step back and looking at everything. What would you say was maybe the 1 or 2 or 3 factors that helped you succeed the most?
Faith and confidence. I put them together. Confidence based on my faith. And if without any of that, then you wouldn't be able to stand on your own 2 feet. And when a little wind comes your way, a little pressure comes your way. So having faith and confidence is definitely key. And I count that as one. Education. You have to have a firm foundation in education. It did take me a while to get there, as we mentioned, but I did get there and have grown from there. And purpose or vision. I have aspirations. I have goals. There are places I want to go and see and things I want to do, and I haven't been there. But if I know that that's in the future for me, then I can be on that path.
Right.
So I would say those are the three places that and things students should think about.
And it's funny that it's not like you have to get to a certain point in your career to have these things in place. Like, you can be 16, 17 years old and have a vision for the things that you want to do in your life, and maybe in a really vague kind of way, but if you want to help people, well, hey, that's going to determine some of the decisions you make. That's going to, you're going to see that you're going to be looking for work or an internship or a volunteer opportunity that helps you help people, as opposed to something that you wouldn't have that interaction with others. I mean, it's important to do, I think, at every point in your life.
I definitely agree, and something that students can always think about is that there are others behind them. I have sobrinos and sobrinas, nephews and nieces, who are 10, 15 years younger than me, and my goal is to just be a good example for them, so that they realize that they can do something neat and cool and different, and don't have to stay in the same place, and that they can go after an education and do something with it. That's what I want to do, and hopefully they do the same thing for their younger brothers and sisters. So they just charting a path.
I agree, and not only are you that inspiration for your sobrinos, sobrinas, but you scaled that today, really, with the reach that you've had here in Montgomery County. I know there's plenty of students right now watching, and parents watching, students that are not sure about how to find an internship, not sure about what it looks like to have a career in, international relations, and, you've been an example. So I really want to just thank you for that, for the time that you've taken away from your job, and just to do this with us, and really for just being a supportive person. I met you a couple of years ago, never really connected with you, and now here we are doing this, and I think that, that ability for us to connect, we're both Latinos, and just help out one another. I really thank you for that.
Well, thank you, and congratulations to you for the work that you're doing in the community.
Absolutely. So for all of you who are still watching, thank you so much, and we'll be back next week. Stay tuned, and don't forget to check us out at generacionlatina.org. Thanks.